Thank you for your comments. As to what Luboš said, I absolutely agree that it's a typical example of a divisive strategy, and there have been more examples of these divisive strategies in the Czech Republic. For example, generational division making. There was that pre-election clip called "Convince Your Grandma," which was a very ageist, very brutal attempt to emulate Obama's pre-election clip, which was however completely innocent in comparison. There was some anti-homeless. There were some anti-homeless sentiments mobilized by the now famous public affairs party of the Czech Republic. But the problem is that this attempt is particularly successful, especially because it's a visible minority, easily identifiable minority, and simply said different minority. And why is it so easy to use this divisive strategy? This brings me to Mr. Pál's, to Tomáš Pál's comment. Again, I completely agree that they are rather a lifestyle minority, and that the racism, that's why I said the name of my speech was probably incorrect, is a kind of sociological racism. I recommend famous Slaskin's book on this issue. But the problem is that how this issue is framed in the Czech, and not on the Czech debate, is a complete naturalization of this issue. If you talk about people, I've read similar surveys in the Czech Republic, exactly with the same results, with a huge majority of Czechs willing to expel Roma people together with drug addicts and other groups. And now, why I've also connected this issue with neoliberalism is, and this brings me to Rafał's comment, the common denominator between neoliberalism and this issue is probably not only the economization of language. It's not only economic language, but we must go one level back, or one level higher in abstraction. One abstraction level higher. In my opinion, it's naturalization of language. It's the naturalization of social issues, social phenomena, and this is in which neoliberalism is particularly strong. The idea that the fact is obvious because it's natural and it's always been such. This simple strategy works, and it's applied to the Roma issue as well. Some people will agree that it's a social problem, but in a second sentence they will add that it's a problem of their identity. Okay, it's a social problem, but they will never probably completely accept the argument that the problem is really social, because they will add the second half of it, that it's somehow in their blood. And we know from the recent history what the extreme versions of naturalization of language are, all those medical parallels and metaphors used by interwar authoritarian leaders. But it's coming back. If you read some speeches by the Romanian President Basescu or some other politicians, you will hear very similar metaphors of cancer, burdens, illness, uncured illnesses, and it's coming back. It's also coming in the Czech Republic, and well, that's why my short speech here was a kind of a pessimistic warning without pretending to knowing the solution. As you said, I agree with you that it's an issue of overcoming these divisive strategies, and I agree with you that we don't know so far. Yeah, but the point was that this neoliberal racist alliance, and I apply the word racist provocatively exactly because of this naturalization of language and natural framing of debate. So this alliance between this, let's say, primitive communitarist division making and neoliberal decision making is something particularly warning and disturbing, and we don't have the solution. I don't. My contribution was for you maybe to come up with your ideas. I just speak with Czech people, with my students who are, let's say, pretty much more, much less vulnerable to racist or to prejudice and stereotypes than other people or other students in the Czech Republic. But still, you will hear absolutely shocking statements from them, from in a group where you will never expect this to happen. So, sorry, issue a little bit apart in this debate, which rightly so is especially about reshaping the discourse, establishing a new ideology a new mobilizing ideology in economics. This should be the mainstream. I agree also with what you said, that it should, the strategy of reshaping should be probably a strategy of pushing an idea that it is a social issue. But we don't know how to do it. If you face people who will automatically argue that it's an issue of identity, that they are like this, and they are becoming targets.